Hey everyone, I've got a game called Sonora here, and if you think you've seen all of the rollin' rights and the flippin' rights, well here you've got a flickin' right. This is it. Every player gets a really great dry erase board and dry erase marker. There are 4 sections in each person's player card, as are sections on the board. Every player has 5 discs in their color, numbered 1 through 5. On their turn, they're going to select any 2 of these discs. You don't have to go in ascending order. And you're going to flick those onto the board. Then the next player is going to go, and from their position, they're going to flick 2 discs, and so forth around the table until I pick 2 more discs. I already jumped the gun. If you flick your disc into the center, you get to take it off the board and place it on one of the 4 regions. For now, I'll just place it here and let you know what that means later. 2 more discs. Everyone has 1 disc left. At that point, you're going to flick that disc until everyone's flicked their disc. There are values of your own discs in different regions and potentially on special spots that give you like a super boost turn. You are then going to translate all 5 of your discs into points in these scoring areas. And that's where some of the choice comes into play. Players have the chance to reflick if they want to, and that's going to be one of these reflick symbols that you mark off if you have that available to you. The other thing that players can do is swap. So let's say I want to swap the number of my 4 with the number of my 1, because that gives me a bonus. My number 1 is actually inside one of those super cool bonuses. I take that and I swap it, because the flicking is done, and so placement can be approximate as long as it is in the same region that you took it from. And now you score up the area. We start with lizards because the player who has the most lizard points in this area gets to go first. After that, it doesn't matter what order these go in because everyone's got their own individual areas that they're racing for. The lizard is kind of the one that matters who gets there first because there's a first bonus for completing a section. When you have a disc on your board, it becomes the number applied to that particular area. Once a round is done with people flicking 2 discs, and then 1 disc, then players saying whether they want to swap a disc or not, we do 1 application of points, and then it's the next round. And this board will clear everything. We'll shift it to where the next player shoots from the lizard zone. And then that means every time you play, you're always flicking from a different zone for each round, up to 5, 6, or 7 rounds, depending on if you want a short, medium, or long game. So, what does everything do? I am going to zoom in for that. Alright, so up here in the lizard region, each number value of the disc you flicked into that area just translates as 1 hexagon. So if you receive 5 points and you're first to go, you probably want to go in this 5 region and get the first player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll get that big number right there, which is 6 points at the end of the game, and you get this fancy reroll. And you will circle the reroll, it's available to you. And any other player that completes this area gets 5 victory points, but they don't get the bonus. Every single area is labeled with how many hexes it has. It also has the first player and every other player reward of victory points. But every first place always gets a super special bonus. That's why turn order matters so much in the lizard region. Moving over to the fox region, each die is going to be a shape that you get to place into this really cool crosswords grid. Now, you have to start adjacent to this existing square that they've drawn onto the map, and you also get to scratch out these cactus and plant images based on how many you cover when you fill a shape in. So if I have a 3 die and a 2 die, I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna place him into my area. Maybe I'll go like this. Notice that that is this shape. I can adjust it, turn it, flip it, invert it, whatever I want. And I covered up that green cactus, so I'm gonna put an X through that green cactus up there. Now I get to draw my 2. You can do those in any order. And I'm gonna draw my 2 like this, where I have my 3 shape, and it looks like I have an owl shape. I can use that as any number, 1 through 5, down in the owl zone. So I'll let you know what that means in just a little bit. From here on, all of your shapes have to be adjacent to an existing shape that's on your board. So I can go off in this direction, that direction, I can go up around here, and down there. I have a lot of options in this area. This is the rabbit zone. You get to add up all the numbers of your value discs and draw lines based on how many numbers you have. So let's say I have a total of 7 in rabbit. I can draw from that center X, I have to start there, and I draw 3, and I can draw 2, and I can draw 2. Now that's a total of 7. When your numbers essentially are side by side because I've connected them, I draw a line, and now you're making triangles. So if I want to get this 4 next time, I'll automatically complete this triangle because I have the other 2 sides of it. Now why do you want to make triangles? Because over here, you get 2 times every one of those blue dots that you have surrounded, 4 times the amount of that teal plant, and 6 times the amount of that green plant. And so you'll notice the green plants are on the outside, those teal plants are kind of in the middle, and there's just a lot of those blue dots. And so you'll have to spend more and more rabbit points to get further out, but the benefits are really big. You can also earn bonuses in owl and fox, and you can also find some of those re-rolls and those swaps in this section as well. If you have any leftover numbers that you don't use, let's say you have 7 and you only use 6, you can put an extra 1 of yours in this row, and these are for spillovers. So when you have 3 that you want to put in that area, now you get that free owl of any number. You can do that with any of those freebies down there. Now here's the last section, the owl. How you count this is every single die is going to be an owl track. And let's say you have 3 value in owl. You start at the X up here. You have to work your way down these tributaries. That's the whole point. You can't start at the bottom. You have to start here. If I have 3, I go 1, 2, I have to make a choice, go this direction or that direction this turn. Let's say I go this direction. You circle the number that you had. So you put X's through everything up until that one. So I had a 3, I go cross, cross, and I circle my 3rd one. That means I'm going to get 1 point at the end of the game. Now, the next time I have an owl number, which could be the same turn, I can start here or I can start here. But I've already made this progress, and so it's really good that I continue going on my progress. So let's say I didn't just have a 3, I also had, let's say I had a 2. From here, I can say 1, 2. And so now I'm going to get 1 point as well, and I'm further down this path, and so next time I'm going to start getting more and more victory points. So earlier, when you got the bonus up here of the owl of any number, I can take that and I can apply that down here to my owl section, and I can say I want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I have a 4 fox. And so I go back up here to the fox section, and now I have a value 4 that I can put into my little crossroads area, and that is a long 3 plus a 1 at the end, and I can add that shape, which means that I could cascade again. Oh my gosh, look at this. I drew that shape. I got one of those little green cactus, and I also got a 5 rabbit. So now I come back down to rabbit, and I look and I go, oh my gosh, I think I want to circle this 5. I draw my line. I haven't made any triangles yet, but I've made progress, and that's really good because I get to keep that progress. Lastly, there are discovery bonuses. Discovery bonuses are this kind of really bright sun symbol, and anywhere you see that discovery bonus in any section, you get to choose one of these 4 foxes, one of those 4 rabbits of 6 value, or one of those 2 owls. And once you use it, you cross through it to know you can't use that one again. Lastly, at the end of the game, after 5 rounds, 6 rounds, or 7 rounds, you get to score up your lizards, your owls, your foxes, and your rabbits for your total score. If ever your disc is on the line, look at which region it's the most in, and that's where you put the disc. If your disc is on one of those special places, take a look at it. This one says that you get to do this digit 2 different times in the fox zone, so you get 2 3 values just by getting on that one. Here, you get 2 times that number. Let's say this ended there. We've got 10 points in rabbit just by putting it in that disc, even though you're technically in the lizard zone. This 4 is going to be 2 foxes of 4 value. Over here, 2 times the rabbit. This disc says 2 times lizard, so that's 6 points in lizard. Here, I've got my 5, green 5 is on 2 owls, so that's 2 5 points in owls, which can get you really far in that particular region down that tributary track towards all the really big victory points. For me, the really fun thing about Sonora, or the innovative thing about it, is it incorporates flicking and a roll and write. So it's a flick and write. And there's nothing more fun than flicking your disc into one of those special bonus spaces that gives you a ×2 or 2 discs of that value into a region. There's nothing worse than getting in that space and then having somebody flick your disc and knock it out. Because every time you flick 2, it has to go clockwise around the table, and then people are flicking their discs, and they're ricocheting, and they're bouncing yours out, and they're replacing yours, and they're doing all sorts of nonsense. Don't have your heart set on your very first couple flicks, because those discs are definitely going to move. There is a little luck. Sometimes you really set yourself up well, and somebody else just does a better flick job, or they just put themselves in a position that gives them more to put onto their individual player board than you do. And that's okay. First games, you gotta give this a try, because these regions can be really confusing. Every time I've played, first time myself, and then when I introduce this to other people, the regions are so confusing, and they've done a good job graphically to distinguish all 4 of those animals and the regions they live in, but it's still just so weirdly confusing. So just know that if you get things swapped around and you thought you were flicking into a fox zone and you really were flicking into an owl zone, everyone's done it. So it's okay. Just take your points where you get them and have a really good time with this game.